Cheers from Japan. I'm the Tokyo Toy Bastard. I just woke up, so no beer. But today, I've got an entire figure line that I want to showcase, and this is it's one of my favorite figure lines, and a lot of people that collect vintage Dragon Ball Z figures really like this line. But I know that a lot of you modern collectors think these are the ugliest figures that were ever made. So let's take a look at them, shall we? Alright, so the line is the Full Action Pose line. It was released by Bandai in the early 90s. I believe specifically 1992. And first of all, I talked about these a little bit in... I showcased a bootleg version in my Dragon Ball Z bootleg video that I did, I believe, last year. So we're going to take a look at a couple of those that I showed, and then all the rest that I have acquired since then. So first off, our main hero, we've got Son Goku, Super Saiyan form. Alright, and he's got the kind of golden yellow hair. Not quite the dark bronze gold that you'll see in the Super Battle Collection gold hair version. So I actually like this gold hair. But as you can see, he is fully articulate, kind of. And he's very noisy when you try to articulate him. But one thing that's really cool is that these figures have articulated hands, so that you can open and close their hands so they can grasp onto things. He's got the decals. Yeah, one downside is these are the giant screws in the back, which are covered up by the clothes on the rest of the body, but yeah, the big giant screws coming out the back of his head are not that lovely. But from the front, no screws. Looks lovely. The one, if you watched my bootleg video, the one that I showed in that video was a legit one, but it was a comparison to the bootleg, and it was a lot more faded looking. But if you see here, I've actually upgraded. I've got a new one, and this one's very brightly colored and came straight out of the box. And I have the box, but I can't find it up in my closet. But I do have a box to show you for another figure. Just wait on that. And just for comparison, just for fun, here is the base form bootleg version. Alright, you'll notice that they are identical in size, but the face sculpt is quite different, and the hair sculpt is as well. But one thing you'll notice on the bootleg, hey look, no big screw holes in his hair. Yay. So anyway, it's a nice bootleg. I enjoy it, and so yeah, they did a nice job on that bootleg. One complaint about this figure line is, going back to Goku here, it's how tiny the face is in comparison to the rest of it. And I think part of that is because of how long the neck is. I'm not sure. I think if his neck was a little bit shorter, and they just made his face a little bit wider, it wouldn't look as awkward. But I still like the way it looks. I liked it. I like it. Or maybe not his neck is shorter, his neck a little bit wider as well. Goku does have a fat neck. Well, later on he does. Alright, and just one more time for this figure comparison scale. Here is Super Saiyan Goku. Sorry, I'm having to look at a camera and the screen is the other way. Here's Super Saiyan Goku Super Battle Collection next to the Full Action Pose Goku, just so you can see this size difference. So these are about 5 inches, where these are about 7 inches, or at least Goku is. Alright, up next, Goku's son Gohan. And demonstrate his... They've all got the same posability, but I didn't really show off Goku's leg movement, so... And they've got articulated ankles. Goku's a little bit hard to articulate the ankles on because he's got these thick rubber boots, which are cool, but it's harder to see the articulation in them. Once again, Gohan's got the yellowish golden hair. He's got the articulated hands. Articulated fingers, I mean. Well, articulated hands. His fingers aren't fully articulated. Really nicely done. Love the real cloth. However, I wish his cape was... I understand that this part probably needs to be a rubber or a vinyl because it's got to stick out like that. But I wish that they would have done the back part or this part with maybe a cloth overlay. That would have been cool. But it's still nice. It's not like super hard. It's still bendable and posable. And it can be taken off, but I'm not going to. Let's take a look at Gohan's face. Since Gohan's wearing this and he's a bit shorter, his face doesn't look as disproportionate as Goku's, I think. Just to compare here. Yeah, doesn't look as bad. Although, Gohan's body does look fairly massive. Like, his arms are really long in comparison. At least that's what it looks like. And if you notice, he's actually the correct size that he should be. He's not the same size as Goku. But I'm wondering, I think their arms are actually the same length, even though he's shorter. Yeah, I think that's the case. I think they have the same length arms. That's probably why he looks a little bit awkward there. Okay, well that's Gohan. Back of the head. No screws. No screws. Goku is screwed. Haha. All right, and the kind of the last figure we're gonna look at here is my all-time favorite, Full Action Pose, Super Saiyan Trunks, Super Saiyan Future Trunks, and let's see scale here next to Goku. He's a little bit shorter than Goku, just a little bit shorter. It's hard to do this in this monitor. And I'll put him up next to Gohan. Gohan's just a little bit shorter than him. Alright, so the Trunks has got an awesome denim jacket, which you can see here. He's got, he also has boots like Goku, but this time they've actually sculpted his boots into the plastic rather than sliding the boots over. What you can see with Goku's boots, like you can slide them off and on, and he's got feet underneath. I don't want to do it. It's such a pain in the ass to get it back on. You can look it up, or buy a loose one on eBay, and you can see. All right. He comes with his awesome sword. This sword does come out. And it's got this little protective thing on the side, I guess, so that he can hold it in his hand. So he's the only figure that comes with an accessory that he can actually clasp onto with his articulated hands. So I will demonstrate that real quick. Give me a second. No jump cuts for you. Alright, here he is, holding the sword. Oh, I have the power! Oh, sorry, that's He-Man. So, once again, back of the head. No screws! Yay. And since he's fully clothed, you can't see any screw holes in him at all, except for inside of his ankles and below his feet, which I think that makes him, alongside of him having the most, I think, accurate proportions. I think that makes him the best figure in this line. He's definitely one of the most sought after, and these can go for quite a bit of money if they're in the box. So speaking of the box, I actually did have his box laying around, and it's in pretty good condition. They all came in boxes about this size. He would have gone right there in the window. They're often displayed. I believe they don't show them wearing the clothes. The clothing would actually. Wait a second. The clothing would actually be stored in a separate compartment here. Right here. And you notice that even Trunks' box has the same shape as Goku's Super Saiyan hair. And a bunch of stuff just fell out. And here was the sticker sheet that Trunks' weapons came on. Here's the instruction booklet for how to put on his clothes. And it is a pain in the ass to get these things clothed, but worth it in the end. Nothing on the inside, waste of paper, and on the back, how to put the stickers on onto the sword. And then here was his capsule corp. It was kind of more of a cloth sticker. That's where that sticker was originally. You can see it there. And Goku's stickers on his clothing are also kind of a shiny cloth material for the stickers. Alright, now one thing about this box that I like, and I'm glad that I had it ready to show, was so you've got the front, yeah, standard, it's got the figure fully clothed. On the side, you've got the figure in some poses. On the other side, you've got an animated version of the Trunks. Same on the bottom. But on the back, you've got this awesome, like, manga-style image of Trunks in action, slicing through an unproduced Frieza figure, which is pretty cool, right there. And they never did actually, they didn't produce that figure until they released in 2003. Uni5 released Ultimate Evolution figures, and they produced Super Saiyan Trunks. This one right here. Also has a removable sword and stuff, and he's very posable, but he's smaller. He's much smaller than this Trunks, obviously. But they did release it with, I don't know if you can see it in the box. Here's the box. They did release it with the cut in half Frieza and a bunch of other parts. So it's much smaller though. It's much smaller. But if you were to maybe put it in some kind of weird perspective, he might look cool in photograph. But yeah, I'm trying to see. I'm pretty sure that this Frieza and then this Frieza, or at least in this picture, are I think the exact same pose. So I'm wondering if this was like a prototype and then they scaled it down for this figure later. But this is Bandai. This was not, so that's probably not the case. But anyway, good to know that this exists. Alright, so last thing I want to show you. So as I said, these full action pose figures, this was the three main ones they released. They didn't release Vegeta for some reason. I don't know why. It would have been awesome if they would have released Vegeta too, so that you had all the main Saiyans. They only released these 3 figures. So the black-haired, base-haired version I showed you was a bootleg. They never released base form versions of any of these. But these actually have a predecessor. These were released in 1992, and then in 1985, 7 years before these guys existed, Bandai released a figure called Zenshin Karo Kenshiro, which was this guy. This is Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star. And any of you that have maybe read some of my blogs or met me in person may have known that when I first moved to Japan in 2005, I actually worked at the studio that produced Fist of the North Star, and I worked on Fist of the Blue Sky as an assistant illustrator. So I do have a bit of a fondness for Fist of the North Star, but I'm not a super huge Fist of the North Star collector. This is one of the few items that I own, and I believe this is one of the rarest of the Fist of the North Star action figures, and it also came in a box similar, not dissimilar to those, but a little bit more narrow. And so yeah, it was called Zenshin Kado, which written in kanji translates to full body movement. So full body movement, full action pose. But you know, with these, it was actually written in English, full action pose. So, but yeah, look at the body. Notice any similarities? Look at the arm sculpt. Look at the joints. Look at the hands. This is the same body. It's the exact same body as Goku, at least. If I take off Goku's pants, you could see even further. It's the same body. They've just given it a different head sculpt. You notice Kenshiro's head is his face is the same size as Goku. Of course, Goku's got much more massive hair. What if I pull down this shirt here? You can see. Let's see here, side by side. It's the same figure. So I guess down the line they just recycled Kenshiro's body, threw Goku's face sculpt on there, and they were like, hey, we've got a new figure line. And I assume, since Gohan's arm was the same length as Goku's arm, looks like Trunks's might be the same too, so I assume they just recycled Kenshiro's arm for all of these figures. And probably the torso too. The only thing they probably had to do was shorten the legs a bit for these figures, for the other two figures, for Gohan and Trunks. So yeah, so a little interesting history there for these figures and collectors of these figures. So as Kenshiro would say, "Omae wa mou shindeiru." You're already dead. I don't think he talks like that though. That sounded like an alien. Alright, that's it. Bye bye.